Welcome back to the show, and I'm joined here by Ray and Jilly Brown. And just before the break, you
That's right,
just
Nick.
flow of
Yes, that's fine.
explaining
No,
about the
that's
phone call that you had from that turned out to be Paul.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, no problem. He turned around and said to me, well, he said it on the phone. He said on the phone to me, "Well, I'm going to look. You haven't got to worry about money and your work, because I'm going to earn enough money to keep you and Raymond." And I thought, well, when he said that, I thought, he can't even keep himself. He's only earning about £40 a week. I don't know how he's going to keep me too. So I just cried all the more, and I said, oh, well, it's lovely. And I just got off the phone and cried all the more. But he was dead right. We got together shortly after that. He said to me, when we met up afterwards, because we went to a little group, and he said to me, "You've been chosen to work with me, and I've been brought to you.
Oh.
We've come together now because that's the work we have to do." So I gave up everything and I went with this man.
Oh.
Because that Paul told me, and to me, spirit was always very important, because my grandmother was a spiritualist and a wonderful medium, and I run the spiritualist church, as I told you. My whole life was the spiritualist church.
Yeah.
And when I met Paul, he was so incredible. I thought, I've got to help this man. Nobody was helping him.
Yeah.
Nick, nobody was helping him. He was just a lost soul. So we got together, and we're here today, aren't we, darling? Doing all these miracles.
Well, talking about Paul.
Yeah. Paul of Tarsus.
Yes, it would be nice to meet Paul, wouldn't it?
It would do, yeah.
Oh, wow.
About time we met you now.
Okay then.
Come on, darling.
Am I supposed to say boo?
Hello, Paul.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. I have met you before, of course, haven't I?
Yes, you have. You had a little chat.
Over dinner, yes.
Yes, I believe it was.
Well, thank you very much for coming through.
It's okay.
And I've read your story in the book. Again, to mention the book to folk, the mere grain of sand is the book, and of course, the eternal truth is your teachings.
That's right, yes.
Which, what I like about them is, you see, to me, the most profound spiritual truths are really simple, aren't they?
Of course.
And that's what I like, because they're very simple truths, and based on love.
Always, love is the key. Love is the answer to all things.
Yes.
Without love, what have we?
Now, was it very strange? It must have been really strange when, because my understanding was that you were called to do this work, to work with Raymond. Was it culture shock when you came into this particular time frame?
Firstly, I was asked
Yeah.
to come down to work upon the earth plane, and yes, I guess it was a bit of a culture shock, because 2,000 years had passed and I'm coming into an English person's body, not a native body of my ancestry. So therefore, yes, it was strange. I had to adapt to English speaking to start with, so that took a little while. Then I obviously had to train someone, so I had to choose someone to begin with. So I chose Raymond from birth, and that's where things started, really. From the day he was born, we started to work upon him to get him prepared, and it took until he was 21 to do that.
So prior to actually, this was decided after, wasn't decided in spirit beforehand?
Oh yes, it was decided in spirit.
But you were aware of that?
I wasn't. I actually searched for Raymond
Right.
once I took up the quest to come back. And it wasn't until I found Raymond that the time was right. Because I started actually the spiritual academy for surgery and doctors 300 years ago in spirit.
In spirit, yeah.
But they wanted me to take it a bit further and to come back to the earth plane. So they, meaning the council, the higher council in spirit. So I was asked and I chose to come back, and so I had to find someone to work with. So I needed a family which was simple, not too learned, basically, because I didn't want anything that was going to get in the way. If it was someone who was going to be a doctor or scientist, it wouldn't work. So it had to be someone from a simple background. And I can't get anybody simpler than Raymond, really. We work together very well.
Yes, yes. So during that time from 2,000 years, your main concentration has been developing more and more healing.
Yes, I mean, obviously, the teachings are very important, basically, for mankind, because everybody has different ideas. But because I've gone through the levels in spirit right through to 9, level 9, which is the last level before going back to the source of all life, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, I have gone through the levels, so I know what goes on in the levels. So
this is all explained in
yes,
in
it
your
made
books.
sense to me to write something down onto paper where people can read it and absorb it, and obviously take it on board. They can either accept it or just throw it down. But eventually they will find out that I'm teaching the truth.
Sure.
That is why it's called the eternal truth.
And of course, put in a very simple way, which, as I said, is most
Well,
profound.
everything which is honest and kind and beautiful and is simple.
Yes.
Jesus Christ was simple. He came from a simple background, and he taught simple things. Most of the teachers that you find in the world are simple people.
Yes.
They're not, there are people that come from simple backgrounds, and God has chosen those people, and that is the way it is.
Sure, sure. I mean, personally, I don't tend to use the word God myself because it's been too misused. So I tend to refer to it as divine creator.
Universal power.
Yeah.
But you
source.
see, when you're talking to people on a daily basis, you have to, if I were to say the universal power, which I believe God is, I don't believe that God sits on a throne and fires lots of words. Well, he does, but but I don't see God as being a person. God is the universe. God is the eternal. Everything. Everything that you breathe, walk, talk, everything that is alive is God.
The source of all.
It's the
being.
source of all creation.
Yes, yes.
But because in my time people needed to have a figure, so God was created as a person, not as the universe.
Sure, sure.